Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So yes, we can all see the amount of profits the 714 method can give you if you just understand the strategy. Imagine yesterday this was the only high I was just targeting, but currently look at the place price is and about 40k in profits. Now today I'm not really going to talk about the 714 method because you already know how to trade with it, and the video about it is on this channel. You can just check it out. I'm going to talk about how to actually add onto trades, because not knowing how to add onto trades is a very bad thing, and it leads to a lot of traders losing their account because they are executing trades at the wrong regions. So let's look at this. Now, these are the only two levels I use to add on to my trade. No matter how the trend is moving, these two levels are presented. One, an order block. Two, a breakout block. Only these two levels are what I use to execute my trade or add on to my trades. So if price is shooting all the way up, just like we're having currently, this is an upward movement, right? No matter how high the trend is, it's still going to give a lower high and a higher high, lower high and a higher high right there. So always take your time before you execute your trades. Now, what are the rules governing these two things if I'm going to use it to execute a trade? With the order block, I don't really use anything serious. I don't use anything serious. I just use either a fair value gap or a rejection within this order block. But the breaker block is when I become quite technical, because with the breaker block, if I don't see rejections within that breaker block, I don't use it. It doesn't become valid for me. I have to see rejections before I can be able to use it, right? So let's look at the chart. Let me just show you how you could have executed at least, let's say, even if we can see at least two trades on this current trend, if you can see two good trades on this current trend right here, you understand that you've been learning how to trade extremely wrong. So first things first, we don't have to talk about this. That's the 714 method. We should talk about this, but let me just minimize it so that it doesn't really get in our way, right? So let me take this out at the same time, take this out right here. So I want us to talk about this zone all the way up, because I don't want us to talk about the 714 method, even though the 714 method also push all the way up from an order block, right? So this was a very good actual reason for you to buy all the way up, but that's just by the way. So with the 714 method shooting all the way up, let's look closely at the trend. What happened? The reason why the 714 method I was targeting this actually was my first TP right here, just around this zone right here. But this should have been the last high you should be targeting with the 714 method. And I've always told you guys, if you're executing a trade, execute two, so that you take your first TP, hold on to the second trade. Yesterday, the first TP was around 10k. Imagine this is 4 times the first TP. Very, very good. So after this high is taken, look at it from here all the way down. That's just one single trend, right? Here, just above this high right here all the way down to this zone. That is one single trend. Price came all the way back up. It did not take out that high, and it shot all the way up to this zone. So making this right here just one simple break. This is not important, just one simple break. Do you understand that? So after this break is done, we now look forward to price continuing all the way up, because we are looking for price breaking the next high, which is this zone right here, just about this high right there. Do you understand the concept? So you have to always understand what is going on in the markets before you be able to execute your trade. So when we look at this, before price took out this high, we had a couple of rejections just around this zone right here. You can see it's a lot of rejections, indicating that this level just around this zone, sorry, so indicating that this level, all of this zone right here, is a resistance zone for sellers. So when price broke through it, came back down into it, I wouldn't have been looking forward to executing a trade within this zone. Below this, I don't really need to execute a trade right there, because I know sellers already came into the market here. There's a high chance sellers will come into the market below this resistance zone again. So you don't execute your trade. What do you wait for? You wait for price to break above the last high. After price broke above the last high, you ask yourself, can I use a breaker block to execute a trade here, or can I use an order block? So with price breaking out this last high right here, what is the last candle that forces this breakthrough, or what is the last sell candle, which is this sell candle right here. So first things first, you have your order block right there. Very nice. But let's look at this. Price also broke through a failed order block, making this right here a breaker block, right? So let's mark it. Now, I told you guys I have something that I use, which is if there are no rejections within that breaker block, I don't consider it a valid one. But if there are rejections within that breaker block, it indicates a support. So there's no way price is going to break through that other block to get, or that breaker block rather, to get to an other block. There's absolutely no way price will do that. So when price cut all the way through this, the next thing you need to look for is these rejections right here. Is this rejections right here? Can you see these rejections just within this zone right here? It's like you're not focusing. Can you actually see those rejections right there? So indicating that this breaker block is now valid. So all I need to do is wait for price to come back into this breaker block right here for me to execute. But I don't also want to execute at the tip of the breaker block. That is why the resistance zone is important, or the rejections is important. Because if price did not get back to these rejections right here, you are not executing that trade. So you wait for price to drop into the breaker block, all the way down to the rejection zone right here. You execute your trade, and that is that trade right here. You realize that I'm still currently in profit. I executed 3 trades within this zone. I executed 3 trades. I've already taken first TP, and price is still shooting all the way up. Now, since price has done this, we've already seen that price has shot all the way up to this zone right here. Let me just take this out. This is our last high, so I think pushing it through this is going to make it quite sensible, right? So we've taken a trade with the breaker block. That is nice. This right here is our last high. Price broke through it, and we are seeing a rejection. What comes into our mind? Let's mark our levels. Because price dropped into the breaker block and shot all the way up, breaking this high right here, it indicates that this red candle becomes our last order block. At the same time, it's also in a breaker block, making this a very suitable zone for you to execute a trade. Do you understand that? Because we have a last high taken. So if the last high has been taken, we look for price either coming back to the breaker block or not. Or we look for price coming back to the other block or not. You could have also influenced your trade with this liquidity sweep right here. It could have influenced your trade more, because you know that price has stopped out a lot of buyers here all the way back into the other block. You buy again. So look at this, another trade right there. We are buying another trade just around this zone right here. And all of this, we are targeting the last high, which is this zone right here. So another buy right there. Price continues to shoot all the way up, right? Look at this. I'm just coming. I want to show you this. So we have another buy right here. So I don't really want to make things bulky. So this is what I'm going to do. So a buy here, a breaker block buy right there. So let me take out this so that it will not become bulky. So after this buy right here, price shot all the way up back to the other block right here, shot back down and broke through that other block, indicating that this right here becomes a breaker block. Now look closely. If this is our breaker block, do we have rejections right there? Listen carefully. Just take your time and listen. It's like you're not following. Look at this very well. Do we have a rejection zone right there? Has price rejected a couple of times within that breaker block or around that breaker block? Because we need a support zone for it. What do we have here? A very nice rejection zone within that breaker block. What do you think is going to happen when price comes all the way back into that zone right there? Because we have 2 levels to execute. We have our last order block right here, and we have our breaker block right here. But if the breaker block is valid, you don't execute a trade with the other block. You execute a trade with the breaker block, because price is not going to break through that breaker block and come all the way back down to the other block. It's not going to happen, right? So what did price do? It dropped all the way back down to that zone again. What do? You execute your trade. You could have also waited for rejections just like this. For you to be sure as to price is shooting all the way up, you do what? You execute another trade. So we have another trade right there. So let me just go ahead and add another trade right there. Very, very nice. Within one simple push, we've had one, two, and three trades already. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I don't do this at the end of this analysis, right? I'll tell you the reason why I don't do this. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I personally don't do this or don't add trades like this. And it's because of something that I just don't like doing, right? Not because this doesn't work, it works marvelously. I just don't like doing that because of one specific reason. I'll tell you that at the end, right? So let's look closely. After price broke through this high, giving us a breaker block, BOS right there, price shot all the way up. This is the last high of the trend before the push all the way back down, right? So last high right here got taken by this trend right there. What do we see? Within this zone, from this all the way down, that is our sell move. We have our other block right here and we have our breaker block right there. You mark those two levels. I've told you, it's only those two levels that you need to add on to trade or add on to massive trades, because you know price is going to push up from this zone. You do everything, you add every single amount that you have into that trade, and it's going to shoot all the way up, especially if it's an order block, right? It's going to shoot all the way up massively. So you go ahead and you mark your two levels. First things first, the high that got broken, this right here, is it? You realize that price broke through it around this zone right here. Right here with this whole trend, price broke through it around this zone right there. Look at this. Do we have any reason to use this breaker block as an execution? Yes, because price had a couple of rejections right here. But why shouldn't we use that other block? Sorry, why shouldn't we use that breaker block? Because immediately after price broke through it, we had a rejection candle and price dropped. Nothing happened. We did not have any push, absolutely nothing. Just a rejection candle and a push all the way down. So after this push right here started going on, you know that this breaker block is not valid. Even though it looks valid, price has invalidated it. You don't have to trade with it. What do you have to trade with next? Your other block. So you go ahead and you mark your other block and you wait for price to come back to it. If price comes back into the other block, what do? You execute your trade, because as much as price keeps on giving us higher highs and higher highs, there's absolutely no reason why price will come all the way back down and break through this if we want to continue that upward move. And you also want to be in that trend. You want to follow that trend all the way up. You don't want to be someone who is selling above these zones right here. Imagine a lot of people would have actually used this as their other blocks. Meanwhile, when you go to a bigger time frame, this is just a liquidity sweep. Price is just going to come and sweep it and push all the way up. Nothing is going to happen, right? So when price dropped all the way back down into your what? Your other block, you do what? You execute your trade. Look at how simple this is. Just look at how simple this is. Very, very easy. So when the breaker block is valid enough to stop price from coming back down to the other block, you trade with the breaker block. If it's invalid or invalidated, you trade the other block. Very, very simple. Now look at it. Came all the way back down. Just from this trend here all the way up, we have one, two, three, four. Four consecutive trades, and all these trades are good trades. None of them is a losing trade, because you know what you are doing. You know what you are doing. Price is shooting all the way up, and you know what to do. You know when to buy and when to sell. And because we are in an uptrend, you don't look forward for sales, because we are only going to have retracement and push, retracement and push, retracement and push. We're not going to have anything apart from that. So when price shot all the way up, this right here became our last high. So if this right here is the last high that price has broken through, this becomes our breaker block. Do you have any rejections around this breaker block? Absolutely not. So indirectly, this is already invalidated. You don't even have to think about it. The next thing you need to think about is your what? Other block right here. Right there. Your other block. Just mark it from the high to the last week. And that is it. When price dropped back down into it, you are buying, you are targeting the last high. So we could have had about four consecutive trades even before price took out this high right here. We could have already had about four trades, and you understand that all these trades were going to be winning trades because none of these trades were actually losses, right? Every single trades were winning trades. Now this is where something different happens. Price has shot through the last high, or price has liquidated a lot of sellers here. What do you do next? Now, there's a high chance price might want to retest this zone right here. So you likely just hold on to this other block for price to come back to, or you look forward for another reason, which is price breaking through this high right here, giving us a breaker block. Is there any sort of rejections right there? Yes, there are a couple of rejections right there. So when price breaks or pushes back into this zone, there's a high chance we'll continue shooting all the way up. You wait for price to do that, you execute your trade. Very, very nice. It's that simple. Just listen, it's that simple. You don't have to stress yourself. Now, why don't I do this stuff? So let me just remove every single thing that I've did just right now. So this was quite extremely painful to do, but I've removed every single thing that I just did right now. So the reason why I don't add onto trades like that, or the reason why I don't usually stack up my trades like that, is I don't trade inside my trades. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. I don't trade inside my trades. I understood levels. So if I'm trading from here, this is my target. This is the target I'm actually looking for price getting through. So if price gets through this, above here I can trade. Look at this. So if price gets through this zone, let me just I think I'm trying to pick this. It's not coming. Sorry, I guess something was loading or something like that. So if price breaks above this, above here, I can look forward for my order block and my breaker block to add onto my trade. But below this, where my trade is still currently running, I don't trade inside it. If I find a level to trade above here again, let's say price did not come inside this zone, it stopped here, or let's just say price comes back to this zone right here, I'm not buying within this zone. Even though if I have a breaker block within this range I could use, I'm still not buying within this zone until price breaks above this and I find that breaker block or that other block above this, I can buy. So I don't add I don't add trades onto my current trades, or I don't trade inside my trades. So you actually understand that within this zone, when price shot all the way up to this is currently my trade. So with this pushing all the way back down into this zone, I don't have to trade until we push above it. Above it, I can trade. You realize that this movement, or I could have executed a trade, but it was still inside my trade. I can't trade like that until price breaks above it and I find a good zone I can trade. So yes, that is why I don't personally do that. But you can always trade, especially on a 5 minute time frame. This is always good for you to trade. It's always good for you to add on to trade because it's that simple. Just look closely at this move right here. Price gave us a high, drop back down, went to that same high, couldn't push through, a drop, another push all the way back to that same high. What do you think is happening? There's a resistance zone above this. We have that push all the way back down. What do you think is going to happen next? You mark your levels. You have your other block right here. Sorry, your breaker block right there. And you have your other block right here above this high right here. So if there's no level for you to execute on the breaker block, you use the other block. Price got back to the other block, you do what? You execute your cells all the way back down. It's that simple. It's just that simple. You don't have to stress yourself. It's that simple. But remember, you can always get a loss from this type of analysis too. And it's compulsory for you to get a loss. This is trading. This is not something that you can just be on every single minute. No, you get losses. Yes. So that's why you need to execute tangible trades, good trades, bigger trades, and you watch the market shoot all the way up. I'm currently about 52 in profits. Now, with this, a lot of people are far ahead of me. And I'm also targeting, thinking one day I'll probably reach their stage, right? Where I could be making millions of dollars from what? Trading. You always have to understand that where you are currently doesn't necessarily mean you'll be there always. So you look forward for new knowledge, you look forward for things that are going to help you to boost your courage and boost your knowledge all the way up. So with this knowledge that you've just learned, look at this. we did not do anything, right? Other block buy right there. One, right here, price shot all the way up. Nothing serious from the other block, right? Very, very good. So we have our trade. Breakout block right there. Two, we have our trade right there. Price shot all the way up. Price came back down. After this shoot, we have our other block. Price came back down to it. We buy again. That is if you want to be a stacker. You want to stack up on trades. Price shot all the way up. We have our breaker block right here. Price came back into it. We do what? We execute. Sorry, our confirmed breaker block. Not just any breaker block, a confirmed breaker block. We execute a buy. We shoot. Very, very nice. Price came all the way back down to its other block right there. We execute another buy. We shoot all the way up. It's that simple. Just understand that it's that simple. It's just that simple. It's not really anything for you to stress yourself about. It's just that simple. You just have to understand what is going on. When you look closely at what happened yesterday, price shot all the way back down. A lot of people who have been looking forward to executing trades from anywhere they want. I was looking forward to executing trades on an order block right here, which was also on a trend line. At the same time, a resistance zone indicating that this is a much more powerful level to execute. Now, when you go to a bigger time frame, you'll not even see this as a normal trend movement. It's just going to be some 2 or 3 candles, and this level is actually going to be a tangible zone. You understand the concept? So yes, you just have to understand what is going on and you execute your trades, and it's just going to be a very good thing. Now I'll probably get out of this trade if we get to 15k, but also about 13k I'll get out of one trade right here. Price has shot way up enough. That doesn't mean I'm currently not going to hold on to my trades. I'll still hold on to my trades to push all the way up, because so far as we are pushing up, I'm in these trades. I can hold these trades for weeks. So far as we are pushing all the way up, I don't really have a problem. If we start to get serious rejections and we have a lower low created, then I will get out of the trade. But for now, let's just hold on to that trace and we'll see what happens next. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you learned something small. There's not really anything serious. I hope you learned something small. But that's just it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.